What is up, Light Fam? It is David, your spiritual awakening coach, here to help you through your spiritual awakening. If you are on my email list, then you received an email from me over the weekend asking, what is your biggest struggle on your spiritual awakening journey? The response that I got was amazing. So many people responded with their stories. And what I'm going to be doing is having a live every week, a live stream answering these responses, these questions of your biggest struggles, so that I'm being of service to you guys, helping you guys on your spiritual journey. But there was one particular recurring struggle that kept popping up in all of these responses, and that was being too spiritual. So in other words, a lot of you guys were saying that you're just, consuming so much spiritual, esoteric content. You're so focused on the non-physical that your feet are kind of dangling over the ground because your head is so high in the clouds, so high in these higher dimensions, and you feel out of balance, and you feel that you've lost your humanity and all of this stuff. So that's actually not the way to to go about your spiritual journey. It's very much out of balance, but there's some very deep reasons why that's not the right way to go about it, which we're going to dive into right now. So let's talk about don't be too spiritual imbalance right now. Let's go. Don't be too spiritual balance. All right, guys. So first, I think it's important to really redefine this word spiritual. We love labels. We like to label being at the top of the mountain where we experience that rare moment of Satori, where we were firmly rooted in unity consciousness. We felt one with everything and everything. We really felt omnipresence. We understood our eternal nature and our divinity. And then somebody was negative to us, and then we boop, now we're not spiritual anymore. Now we're negative, right? I want you guys to get this concept. You chose to incarnate into the physical for the purpose of spiritual growth, spiritual evolution, and the spiritual lesson. By default, that makes the physical a part of the spiritual growth journey. Do you get that? That means when that person is negative to you, or you're feeling anxiety, or you're feeling stress, that's part of the spiritual lesson, because it shows you where you're out of alignment with your source self. What that means is you're out of alignment with the dominant frequency of source, which is love, and in alignment with fear somewhere. It's a feedback mechanism so that you can learn the spiritual lesson here in the physical that you purposely incarnated to learn from. Okay. So we've got to look at our physical journey as a part of the spiritual practice. It's not just being at the mountaintop. It's also being in the trough. It's being in the valley with dirt under your nails. Your sleeves are rolled up and you got mud on your face, trying to remember what you actually are. And this is how you actually gain gnosis, knowledge from experience. You can't know black until you know white. You can't know light until you've been in the darkness and healed through it. This is learning through contrast, which is the whole point of incarnating in the first place. So the whole thing, all of it, is your spiritual path, your spiritual practice. It's off balance when you have this concept that you only can focus on the non-physical, the esoteric, the high vibe, the positivity, all of that stuff, while simultaneously believing that the darkness and negative energy or low vibe is not spiritual. It is spiritual. One, because source is all things. Spirit runs through everything. Otherwise, source wouldn't be all things. So source is also the darkness. Source is also that person that is negative to you. That's source having a physical experience as that person who hasn't healed their unhealed trauma, or that is having a bad day. That person is a reflection of you. That person is a reflection of what you have going on the inside. And the spiritual lesson is to learn how to address what they're trying to show you so that you can heal it. What is heal? Apply the higher frequency of love to the lower, denser frequency of unhealed trauma in alignment with fear to raise and integrate into your higher dominant frequency. And that's the spiritual lesson. What you're basically saying is that when you say I'm too spiritual, I'm only focused on the high vibe stuff, I'm only focused on the esoteric, what you're really saying is I'm ignoring the lessons. I'm ignoring the spiritual lessons, and somehow that's being spiritual. Does that make any sense? So if you're ignoring the spiritual lessons, then that means you are bypassing where you are in alignment with fear and out of alignment with your true source self. Spiritual balance. How do you find that spiritual balance and not be too spiritual? Well, everything is spirit. So there's no way to not be too spiritual. You just don't realize that you're in the frequency of spirit. But you find balance between the non-physical and the physical, the 3D and the 5D, the light and the darkness. Now, this goes out to all the people that are obsessed with the light, watching these false light spirituality channels that preach the light, the light, the light, light warriors. Light warrior? War is duality, first of all. So what would a light warrior be? Well, something that is fighting or warring against its opposite. So it's fighting the darkness. This is not a thing. The universe is not divided against itself. There's no war between light and darkness. Have you ever seen yin and yang? Yin and yang are not fighting one another. Yin, the dark part, is inward energy. It's Shakti energy. It's go within. It's divine creator energy. All of the answers are within. As within, so without. For you religious people out there, Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. This is creator energy. You're fighting source if you're fighting the darkness, because source is also the darkness. This is out of balance. If you want to be out of balance, stay in the light only, right? What is the light? Divine masculine. A lot of people are out of balance because they've got that divine masculine energy turned up too high. They're overdoing, overworking, over controlling, over analyzing. This is why balance is so important. Source is also the darkness. Yin and yang is a thing for a reason. Stop watching these false light spirituality channels that are obsessed with just the light and are scared of the darkness. If you're obsessed with the light, you're scared of the darkness. Fear is in alignment with the opposite frequency of the dominant frequency of source, which is love. So they're building this huge subscriber base preaching fear, but keeping people stuck on their spiritual journey because they're keeping people stuck in the opposite frequency of the dominant frequency of source, which is love. This is not spirituality. Stop avoiding the darkness. The darkness has your superpowers. Why? Because you have to face your fears to go into the darkness and get those superpowers. On the other side of fear is freedom. The darkness has hidden knowledge. Well, why is it hidden? Because it's in the darkness. Otherwise, it would be in the light, right? So there's hidden knowledge and power and balance. This is what this video is about, spiritual balance in the darkness. Stop hiding from the darkness. Stop fighting the darkness. Stop being obsessed with only the light and staying on one side of the fence. You are both. You are divine masculine. You are divine feminine. You are light. You are darkness. And to repress, deny, and push away that darkness is internal division. It's also self-hate. It's also this resistant, closed off energy. And the universe is all about expansion. Okay? So you stay stuck on your spiritual path when you stay obsessed with the light and avoid the darkness. You got to go into the shadow. You've got to heal that trauma that keeps you from being your source self and get out of alignment with fear. Now, if you need a helping hand, yes, I'm going to self-promote. If you need a helping hand going into your shadow and healing that unhealed trauma, check the pinned comment below. I just finished my 5-week course, How to Meditate, Self-Worth Healing, Self-Love Healing, Shadow Work, Inner Child Work. You heal those 5 things. You will bring your greatest version into your life real quick. Also, text the number in the pinned comment. We can jump on a quick discovery call on Zoom to see if my one-on-one coaching is a good match for both of us. Let's stop with all this, light warrior nonsense and fearing the darkness and pushing away the darkness. Source is also the darkness. You are also the darkness. Stop denying yourself. Okay, this is self-hate. It's also internal division. But how do we get grounded? What is grounded, right? The earth. Well, there's a lot of different things that we can do to be grounded and not too spiritual with our head in the clouds. Being grounded, again, is a part of the spiritual journey. Well, you can get out in nature. Get into the present moment. Get mindful in the present moment. That's being grounded. You can also be creative. Do some art or make some music. Creativity is a way that you can be grounded here in the physical 3D. You can interact with like-minded people. Get a sense of community. Engage with your community and your fellow humans. That's how you stay grounded in the physical, which again is a part of your spiritual growth because you chose to incarnate in the physical for spiritual growth. So the whole thing is spiritual growth, not just the high points. All of it is spirit because spirit is all things. I love you guys. Namaste.